Back with us here on Midcap Radar. On to our next corporate conversation then. High-Tech Pipes reported a good quarter first numbers. The EBITDA was a beat on estimates. The margins also saw an expansion, while they also reported their highest ever quarterly sales volumes. To discuss further on their quarterly performance, Anish Bansal, who's the CEO of the company, is joining us on the show. Anish, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining in. Congratulations on a very strong quarter. I'd like to start off by asking you about your volume targets for FY25. You had ended FY24 at around 391 kilotons. What's the number that you have set for this year, and also how much of that would be exports?
Good afternoon, Almaz. Thanks for this call. So we did a volume of 122,000 in Q1, and we are hopeful of achieving 500,000 ton for this financial year, coupled with a good domestic demand and a lot of capex that is poised to come in H1, and also because of the new established facility in Gujarat that we have recently commissioned. That plant, we are seeing good order flows in that plant, and we have entered new segments which earlier were not there. So we are quite bullish on the demand side, and the production side, we are geared up to meet this demand for the whole financial year.
How much of the 500,000 ton would be exports, Anish? You had mentioned in your previous interactions with us that it would be around 10 to 15%. Do you stick to that number, or it can be higher as well?
So right now, we are seeing good demand from the domestic side. So our current focus is to meet the domestic demand, and exports, yes, we'll be maintaining our 10% target for this financial year.
Anish, Vivek this side from the research team as well. Your EBITDA per ton currently is at 3,500 rupees per ton. When we compare it to your peers, who are larger in size, they have EBITDA per ton that actually starts from 4,000 rupees a ton onwards. And the story is the same even when it comes to the value-added products as well. So what plans do you have in order to go ahead and expand the EBITDA per ton that you currently enjoy on your products?
So Vivek, yeah, in our current portfolio, the share of VAPs is around 36%, and the newly added facilities, they are more towards the value-added side. So I think going forward, our target is to increase this 36% VAPs to almost 50%, which will eventually take our blended EBITDA per ton from 3,500 rupees to 4,000 and upwards, maybe.
When we compare it to your peers, even in the VAP segment, we generally see that they enjoy EBITDA per tons in the range of 6 to 12,000. And also, could you give a timeline as to when exactly do you see this particular mix going more in favor of VAP compared to how it is currently put out as?
So, Vivek, the newly added facilities in Gujarat and in our UP plant, so they are mostly focused towards value-added products. And we are hoping, by next 2 to 3 years, we'll have the total mix of value-added products will be upwards of 50%. In that case, our EBITDA per ton on a blended level, it should be between 4,000 to 5,000 rupees per ton. That will, lead to higher profitability margins.
Anish, you spoke of the recently commissioned units for your company. How much has that taken the total capacity to? Point one. And point two is there a plan to add more capacity as the year goes by? And more importantly, is there a plan to add more capacity through the inorganic growth plans?
Yeah, so almost currently we stand at 7.5 lakh tons, and we have 2 more new facilities that are coming up in this current financial year. So by the end of this financial year, the total combined capacity will be almost 1 million tons. And going forward, we are seeing the industry size becoming 2x or 2.5x in coming 6 to 7 years. So we'll be on the capacity expansion spree once this capacity addition is done for this current financial year.
But are you looking at any inorganic growth plans as of now, Anish?
So currently, nothing on the table right now, but we are actively looking towards, we are looking for some good opportunities in the industry. But right now, there's nothing much on the table. But our greenfield expansion, I think that is more that we are focusing towards on.
Any targets you're looking at internally? What would be the possible capacity, and what would be that you're willing to spend to acquire any capacity via the inorganic route?
So our vision is to take the installed capacity to about 2 million tons in coming 3 to 4 years. And we are open to any any acquisition, any brownfield facility that may come up. So we are open towards it, and the exact amount and all, it will all depend on the size and the capacity that particular project that may have.
So
Anish, just another question. As far as the inputs are concerned, what kind of steel do you use? Do you use secondary steel, mainly the scrap steel, or are you actually looking at primary steel? Because when you're looking or tracking the prices of HRC steel, it's actually come down quite drastically. Now, in this falling raw material price scenario, how will you protect your margins?
So Vivek, we work in the primary steel segment, and we buy steel from all the primary mills, which are the the topmost mills of the country. And you are right. Steel prices have softened a bit, but from the long-term perspective, I think lower prices that lead to higher volumes that we have seen historically. So once the steel prices are stable and they are on the they have softened. So I see a good demand coming even from the shift from the unorganized space to the organized space. So I think that will entail very good for the company going forward.
Anish, due to paucity of time, I'm combining two questions into one. First up is at 1 million tons an annum, which you have mentioned as your future capacity. What will your balance sheet look like in terms of debt? And also, when it comes to your return ratios, your ROE and ROCE, they're at 8.9 and 10% respectively. How much do you see them improving by the end of the year?
So Ulmas, we are nearly, at our peak debt levels, and the most of the expansions that were in place, they are coming on stream. So going forward, I think the total debt will come down surely.
Okay.
Is there a number that you have in mind, Anish?
So currently, as on FY24, our total debt profile was around 350 crores. I think it will come down, and hopefully in 2 to 3 years, the company should be net debt free.
And lastly, on the return ratios as well, do you see that number improving by the end of the year from 10% and more?
Yes, definitely. We'll see a significant improvement this year. Significant improvement.
Okay, we're really running out of time. We have a lot of questions, but not enough time today. We'll get you on the show once again to get it, even more details from you. But that was the management, speaking to us and telling us about how Q1 was and how do they expect FY25 to pan out. But that's all the time we have on this edition of Midcap Radar Mutual Fund Corner. When we return.